Remember back in the day when you were playing Portal 2 on your little Xbox, or if you were lucky enough to have a strong enough computer that you could play Portal on the computer, and you thought to yourself, this game would be so much easier if it had guns and a jetpack, so you can kill GLaDOS with an AK-47. However, you would have been wrong, because a bunch of people decided to make that a reality and called it Splitgate. Now, Splitgate 2 recently released, and as you would expect, it's just Halo with portals. Which is to say that the game is actually super fun, and in my limited experience of only a couple of hours, it's something to pick up. However, there are a couple of caveats to this. So about 2 weeks ago, I started getting a lot of Splitgate 2 ads before watching YouTube videos, and I became interested in the game. Now, I downloaded it, and as soon as you get into the game, you get put straight into a tutorial. The only problem is this tutorial only teaches you how to move, use the portal, fire a gun, and not much else except for this button does that. It doesn't explain anything about what specific guns you have, what specific abilities there are, what the differences between the Battle Royale mode and the Arena mode are. None of that. So you are kind of just left to your own to discover that. Now, luckily for me, I got carried by my team in my very first Battlegrounds match. I came to the understanding that the Battlegrounds is the new thing that was added to Splitgate. So originally Splitgate 1 came out in 2019 in terms of its beta, and it was successful, I would say. So they made a Splitgate 2, and now the Splitgate 2 open beta came out on the 22nd of May, and it is pretty good. Except there is a bit of a learning curve. You have to go through everything so that you actually find out what everything is. There is no simple tutorial saying, oh hey, if you're an assault type, do this. If you're a healing type, do that. There's a showing of which buttons you need to press when you're in the different classes, which I'll get to in a second. However, there's a lot of little tiny inconsistencies, which, to be fair, I do expect from a beta like this. But the gameplay itself is absolutely amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, I hate the Battle Royale stuff because you need to learn so much about all the mechanics of the game and all of the individual weapons in the game. And for some reason, there's guys in Japan that have already mastered it when it's only been out for 2 or 3 weeks. But, that being said, I really enjoy the arena mode in this. I would think that some people might find it to be similar to Halo 1's original arena mode, except it's probably just Halo with portals, and that is pretty good. Now, when you get into a match initially, there's only 2 different modes that you can actually go into, and a third one that's a featured mode, which changes every couple of days. The first mode is just your regular arena. You get a team of about 4 players, but I have had instances where I've gone against 4 players and my team only has 3, whether that's because one of my team members has left at the last minute, or it just didn't queue up a third person, which was a little bit annoying because every single time that happens, my team got absolutely destroyed. But I love playing it. So in the arena mode, you get these balls that appear around the map that you have to find, get, and bring back to your base. You get 3 balls and you win the match. But your opponents can steal the balls from your base and take them to their base, because there's only about 4 balls that actually materialize in the entire game, so you have to steal the balls from your opponents, which is really good. Then you have your regular sort of capture the location bit, but it's a bit unique because you can capture a location, and while it's captured by your team, it will build up certain points for you, and the first team to 250 points wins. Then you have the firecracker mode, where one team is the attacker, the other team is the defender. The attackers have to pick up a firecracker, bring it to a location, and wait till the firecracker explodes. The defending team, however, needs to kill everyone at the firecracker location where the firecracker has been planted and make sure that it's defused. Now, all of this actually makes for quite a lot of fun. However, I do notice sometimes when I go into these matches, I will have about 3 or 4 capture the balls matches before I have a capture the location match, before I then have a capture the firecracker match. And I don't know what their algorithm statistically for that sort of thing is, but I noticed that it will give me a couple of matches in one, then a couple of matches in the other, then a couple of matches in the third. But then I might have literally like 6 matches in one version of it, which is why I didn't know that the ball capturing mode and the firecracker explosion version of the arena existed, because my first time playing I got about 3 matches in a row that was just capture the location. That being said, let's move on to what's actually a different type of arena mode, because Splitgate 2's gameplay is sorted into Battle Royale and Arena. Then we have the 24-player Onslaught Arena mode, which is essentially the same as the Capture the Location for the regular Arena Quick Play, but with multiple teams up to 24 players, and they're all vying for dominance. And in this mode, you have to get 500 points by maintaining different captured locations. Whenever you lose a location, you can just go to a different location that doesn't have a team in it, wait for a minute, capture the location, and start earning those points all over again. However, sometimes certain teams can just absolutely dominate if they have a bunch of absolute, Navy SEAL snipers on their team. Further to that, you actually have a couple of game modes that you only unlock after you get 50,000 points worth of experience, which personally I'm not into that, because I think if you release a game, especially if it's in beta, you should just let people go in directly and play it. And maybe that's specifically the game mode they like. Maybe they're not that into the other arena game modes, and they like, for instance, what's called the Team Deathmatch, which is essentially 2 teams in a much smaller map that have to kill each other up to 50 times to win. First team to 50 kills wins. And that's quite interesting. But then there's another take on this called Takedown, which is 2 teams, and the first to kill all of the other team without the other team respawning wins, essentially. So each time you die, it takes longer for you to respawn in the Takedown arena matches. And that's quite interesting, because although it seems impossible at first to kill all of your opponents without them respawning within the 5 seconds that you start at, eventually you get to 20 seconds and 30 seconds where you can't respawn, and you've got one lone guy trying to survive, trying to keep everything up, and then he gets killed in the last second and your opponents win. And that kind of rush is just amazing. The absolute chaos and bear pits that get developed kind of remind me of Quakecraft on the Hypixel server back in the day. But then again, that is also to say that it's pretty fast-paced, so it might be something similar to COD, and again, similar to Halo, but this new and fresh, unique take on it, especially since the portals that you use in all of these cases are actually really useful. They don't feel like a burden, there's enough places to use them, and on multiple times I've been killed by guys literally shooting their gun through the portal without actually being next to me. And when they're doing that, it's next to impossible to go through the portal and ice those fools. But then, before we get to talking about the different classes in the game, I think we should establish a little bit of context on the lore of the game. The game is set in a world where the player represents 3 different corporate entities that brutally battle each other for people's entertainment, because of course you have to give the people circuses like you're a Roman emperor. But that also ends up with us having the perfect set to just shoot the hell out of each other and not die, canonically speaking, because these people just come out back alive, just respawned these absolute superhumans. Now, I think it's time for me to get on to the actual classes. The first one is called Eros, and that is your typical assault class, where your assault rifle and you are friends. You are the crayon-eating marine. You are the only guy that can sprint, which, by the way, is my pet peeve in this game, is that your ability to sprint is not common to every single character, and there's a 1 minute cooldown on the special ability to sprint. Sprinting isn't even something you get. You just get an increased speed rate if you're the assault class. And for someone like me who plays on horizontal sensitivity 20, which is actually quite high, I need speed in the game, that is. I want every single character to be able to sprint that much, and Eros to be able to sprint even faster, because I just feel like the movement in the game can sometimes be slow, which is alleviated by the fact that you can slide almost anywhere. You can slide up surfaces, you can slide down surfaces, you can even slide on the walls to an extent. However, that still doesn't change the fact that if I'm trying to strategically move forward and I don't want to slide and I want to maintain my balance and equilibrium to shoot my enemy, I would much rather be sprinting with all the other characters. But no, it's only Eros that gets the increased rate of sprinting. And to be fair, I understand what they were doing there, but they could have just made it even faster, or they could have just made him have extra armor or something like that in the arena modes. But they chose with the sprint. I have a pet peeve against that. And the only other thing that he seems to do is his G button, which allows him to throw out a grenade or allows him to use a stim pack. It depends on what you've unlocked, because all of the classes actually have a 25 level unlock. And when you get to the 25th level, you get to unlock all the different little special abilities and increases and stat improvements that they call your loadout. Now, your loadout is limited to begin with, but it gets better as you unlock and as you play more and more. Unfortunately, I'm still not even up to level 20 with any of the characters, because, like I say, I've only played it for a couple of hours. Now, my couple hours is probably about 5-6 hours, which isn't enough to level any of the characters up to the max, especially if you're switching between them. But let's talk about something more positive. The next class, which they call Meridian, which is your support class. Now, Meridian is special in the fact that you can use their ability, their Q key ability, to see through walls, which means you can see your enemy on the other side of walls, and so can your companions. This is actually very, very useful in arena mode, because it has all sorts of twists and turns, and it helps you be able to just kill your enemy much faster, or get into a better position, or not get ambushed. This is great. I like playing Meridian. And to be perfectly honest, it's probably my favorite class, in that even though it's a support class, it doesn't feel like a support class, because its unique support class ability is creating a giant dome, which, if you're not high enough level, you can't switch out to the healing dome. Now, the initial dome you get is something that speeds up recovery and slows down your enemy, or it speeds up reloading, or it speeds up your teammates and slows down the enemy. I still don't really know, because I haven't really experienced it slowing down my enemy's bullets fast enough. I just sit in there like a stranded duck. However, in the recovery one, it heals you very, very fast, and you don't just sit there. So I think that's a major flaw in the balancing of the game. You might be aggressive against me, devs, but come on, man. I understand that they had to make stuff that works in the Battle Royale, but it just feels like it doesn't work in the arena. Further on to that, you have your last class, which is your tank. Now, the tank, its unique special ability is to create a giant shield, which is great whenever you're in a corridor. Except, as soon as you move out of a corridor and you're in an open space, the fact that everyone has jetpacks just annoys the hell out of me, because I can I can slightly angle my shield by accident because it's such a fast-paced game, and they will just go up top the shield, shoot me down, or they'll go to the side, or I'll slightly, for a second, peek my head outside of the area of the shield, and I'll get instantly killed. And that is Sabrask for you, which is the unique name that they gave to their tank. I don't have that much experience with the tank. I found it difficult to play. It's not my ideal play style. I think the support is much better for me. But this being said, playing the games in general is very, very, very fun. The basic core of the game is there. It's great. They just have a couple of things they need to improve on. Like, for instance, whenever you go to claim your achievements, I don't know if it's my internet, but I don't think it is, because my friends have been having the same issue, and they can't always get their achievement rewards. You try to claim your reward, it says, "I'm sorry, I can't get that for you." A little thing comes up and everything, and then you have to keep clicking it over and over and over again until the servers connect. To be fair, in terms of the devs, that's a little bit lacking. That's a them issue completely. They should have their networks set up. I have read some stuff that they weren't expecting as many people to be playing, so that might affect it. But then we get onto the real horrendous stuff, which is how everyone is massively complaining about the cosmetics prices. Because I have looked at that store, and the cosmetic prices are insane. They are, deep, like WoW whale levels. It's like, this is them expecting us to be the moms that play Candy Crush levels of cosmetic prices. Now, there are a lot of events and cosmetics and stuff like that you can get for free, and that's great, and I got that in literally 2 days, and that was fine. But in terms of other unique cosmetics, the paid cosmetics, you'd expect, an entire set of cosmetics, £20 max. No, it's double that price. It's 40. That's a pet peeve for people that care. I don't care that much. I don't spend money on cosmetics in video games. I just play the game. That being said, when you do play the game, there's an extra 2 features in the arena matches. When you go to select for an arena match, there's a featured section, which changes every couple of days. Now, I don't know whether this is the dev team creating new scenarios and new maps to play on, or whether this is a part of the player's customization ability. So basically, as a player, you can go in and you can build your own maps and your own game modes. That's wonderful. I think every single Battle Royale game like this should have that, because people who really love these games want to make their own version of it, which kind of is just like Fortnite, except this is a different take. It's a much more mature audience than Fortnite. It's a 12 plus, Fortnite is a 12 plus, but it's not as Looney Tunes as Fortnite. And I think that's something that's missing, because you either have super dark Warzone, or something completely odd and out of the way like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch. But this is just a shooter game that is reminiscent of something like Team Fortress or CSGO. Now, CSGO is a bit more mature, but this is just vibrant and bright and just wonderful to play. It is a truly fun game, and I would say that it is worth the current hype. I don't think it's worth more hype than that, though. Just go and play it. It's addicting. It's an alternative when you're bored of Fortnite. It's an alternative when you just want to spend a couple of hours getting some dopamine in your brain, or feeling like absolute shit for dying from a really dumb move and losing, because losing in this game, in my experience, does actually make you feel like crap, because winning is just such a rush. And when some of the games and matches only last for about 15-20 minutes, it's an even bigger rush. I think that's one thing that they are doing perfectly, is that their arena quick play matches don't last that long. I'd say they last less time than an average Fortnite game. And there is going to be a massive market for that. People are going to enjoy it even if they don't know it yet. So I would say, although it isn't worth more hype than it's currently getting, it is most certainly worth playing, especially knowing that it's only going to get better from here. Unless you're talking about the cosmetics, in which case that's going to get way worse. But the game itself is just wonderful. I fully recommend it. If you liked hearing my hot take on it, please like and subscribe. It will really help me out. Have a nice day.